Hello, hello. Welcome back to Jake's Nook. My name is Jake, and today we are going to be reviewing my October book of the month, which was The Book of Witching by C.J. Cook. Before I get into the way I feel about it, let me give a quick synopsis that isn't spoilery for those of you who might be interested in reading this. So this is the story of two women separated by 400 years. And one is the story of a witch during the witch trials. It follows the story of this woman, Alison Balfour, in 1594, that she got accused of witchcraft and aiding in the murder of the Earl. The second timeline is the story of a mother whose daughter just got into a severe burn accident and is not acting right. And she seems to be saying she's someone else, not who she actually is. The mom trying to figure out what is going on with her daughter and why is she acting so weird and what happened. And some of the daughter's friends are missing and no one knows what happened. And so it is like half suspense thriller, half horror, and it is a really cool book. Yeah, I was drawn to this book because I wanted to read something spooky ooky for October, and this looked really cool. Would I say this is a horror novel? No, I would definitely not. I would say there's certain horror elements to it, but I would definitely define it more as a thriller. I definitely was kind of expecting horror. I'm pretty sure it's branded more as a horror book, but it definitely felt more like a thriller based off the way it was written and the plot and how fast the plot was moving. So let's get into my review of The Book of Witching. So I picked 5 categories that I felt were important to me as a reader and that I care about when it comes to when I'm reading a novel. My first one is the plot. All right, hello, this is Editing Jake coming back in to add something. I'm about to talk kind of negatively about the plot for the next minute or two, but I wanted to come in first and say that I really enjoyed the plot. I had a couple issues with it, and for some reason that was the only thing that was coming to my brain when I was recording this video. But this book has a really fun, culty, witchy plot that has so many twists and turns and really, really, really keeps you on the edge of your seat. I talk about it being fast-paced and feeling like a thriller, and that is exactly how I felt while reading it. The plot was just fun and interesting, and it really kept you on your toes. Yes, I had my grievances with it, which you'll hear in a second, but I just want to lay it out first that I really did enjoy the plot. So the plot of The Book of Witching, I thought it was concise. I thought it was structured very well. I do wish that there was a little more overlap between these two stories. It's kind of branded as this interconnecting story between two women, and while they obviously are connected, they don't really play a lot with it when I felt like they could have. And there also was a lot of foreshadowing and buildup for thriller and horror things to happen that I felt didn't really come to fruition. Once again, I just wish it was a little more horror-y. That's just my taste. But the witch trials are such a horrific event, and for them to fictionalize it in this way where they are actual witches and can create hexes and curses, I really wish they played around with how horrifically horrifying that could get and have some disturbing imagery. I also felt the ending was a little abrupt. That was my other complaint. It kind of just ends, in my opinion, though I don't know if maybe some other people who have read it disagree. There wasn't a lot of wasted space, though. Throughout the novel, I really felt that it was paced extremely well, and like the length of it was good. I would not ask it to be shorter or longer. Maybe the ending could be a teeny bit longer, but the way it was paced was absolutely outstanding. While we're slowly discovering what actually happened with one of the characters in the present, we are watching this witch trial of Alison Balfour in the past. And I really don't think that there was not any swelling of the plot just for pages. You know, it worked really well. And following Allison's plot was my favorite part. I absolutely loved her story. And the fact that it is historically accurate to a certain extent was absolutely amazing. So in terms of themes of this book, I would definitely say that it centers a lot around motherhood and family and what it means to be a parent and the things that parents will go through for their children. And I love stories about family, so that was absolutely outstanding to me. It also has a lot to do with groupthink and how a community can literally be turned against someone, you know, based on lies, and how easy it is to kind of fall in with the pack and just think whatever, which is very upsetting. It's about the things that people will go through to achieve their means, whether that be good or bad. And it's about finding what's important to you. The second category was the pacing, which I just briefly mentioned. I'll be very short on this. This pacing of this book is very fast, which I don't mind. It very much felt like a thriller as opposed to a horror book, which is, once again, okay. I just really was expecting it to be more horror-y. There were a lot of short chapters, and it was very on par with typical thriller-esque vibe stories. So if you don't like fast-paced, I wouldn't go for this book. If you're looking for something that's extremely detailed in its writing style, I really wouldn't necessarily go for this book. But that brings me to my third category, which is writing style. Typically, I prefer very overly romantic writing. I really like the poetry of writing and the way words can sound coming out of our mouths and the way that authors play with words. While there's obviously some imagery in here that is really well done, I would say that the writing style overall, if I could define it in a word, would be urgent. It feels very urgent, which is really awesome for a thriller novel. Like, I was reading this as if it was a movie, and there was like these camera shots where all the characters are like running around and like trying to figure out what's happening. It really felt a sense of urgency while I was reading it, and it made me get through it extremely quickly. I was in a reading slump before I read this book, and this really helped pull me out of it because of the way it was paced and the writing style. It's very direct, the writing style. There's like an ominous feel to it throughout the novel, which then brings me to my fourth category, which is just the vibe. The vibe is very important for me. It's got to have a good vibe. So the vibe for me, I would say, was dark and like foreboding, not necessarily scary, but I absolutely loved the way that the author was able to write the past and, you know, use the correct vocabulary and really make it feel like you're there, because it's like 1594 or whatever. It really felt like we were there in the way that they talked and the characters' interactions with each other, which I really, really loved. I will say, the vibe of the present storyline, I don't know. I literally highlighted it. I have to find it. I don't know if I can find it, but this one highlighted is that she messages the brother via WhatsApp, which made me giggle. The WhatsApp reference. They mentioned Greta Thunberg, which I just found absolutely hilarious. I like love reading, especially fantasy, for like the escapism aspect of it. And to like have these references to Greta Thunberg and WhatsApp was really just throwing me off. But I understand that she was trying to keep it modernized. It's just that part is like not for me. But it was almost just comical. Like it didn't really ruin anything for me. It was just every time I read something where they talked about they had a whole chapter about TikTok, which just made me giggle. But yeah. And my last category that I want to talk about before I just like go into my, you know, overall random thoughts is the characters. Allison was such a lovable character. I absolutely adored her. Character really is the most important to me. Like, if I don't care about your characters, I'm not going to read your book, you know? I think character genuinely is the most important part of a novel. And Allison was lovable. Her son, Edward, also really interesting. He kind of gives that, like, weird something's off vibe to him. And I wish that there was more played with that. Yeah, so they were great. I really did like Clementine, Clem, who's the main character of the present, her daughter Erin, Clem's ex-husband Quinn. They're all really likable, but I will say Allison and her son Edward stuck out to me the most. And I really cared about what happened to her. And so her plot line, I felt like, did end very well. Clem's was a little meh. But, yes. So I thought I'd read some of my Goodreads updates to you, just to get a vibe of what I was feeling throughout the book. I just think that would be funny. Say don't go. My first update said, loving the spooky vibes. I need to get into a new book to get me out of my slump, so I hope this is good. The writing is descriptive, which is fun, and I like the two main characters. Pretty accurate. My next update is, I'm curious to see how spooky ooky this gets. It is interesting that it is using the idea of falsely accused witches from the witch trials, but with actual witches, which I did find very interesting. They basically, because, you know, the story of the witch trials is that these women were basically just accused of witchcraft because people, you know, were like sexist and just literally wanted to kill these ladies for random reasons. But these ladies are actual witches in our book, which I found really fun. And yeah, I thought that was really cool. I said I want to see some crazy witchcraft instead of this I'm a good witch type stuff. Yes, I still stand by that. I mentioned this one scene about Aaron and Nyx. I won't share what it is, but if you've read it, you know. The first time that they kind of are in the same room, I'll say. And I said that it was written really intensely and genuinely disturbing. And I hope that we get more moments like that. And that was one of my complaints with the book, is I feel like we didn't get a ton of disturbing moments. I put, this is so sad. F Father Colville and his stupid, greedy little self. Facts. Yeah, this one, but I'm sorry, but the random mentions of WhatsApp and Greta Thunberg are really throwing me off. Yeah, so those are my Goodreads updates. Follow me on Goodreads or whatever, but I did highlight this, which I thought was fun. The short life is wasted only when one does not use it for good. Even the moon waxes and wanes. Even the earth, immeasurable in her wisdom and brimming with secrets, is yet turning. That one I thought was really pretty. Oh my gosh, I actually thought this part was really cool, quote-wise. Basically, this one character is talking about how he wants to be better. The man says he wants to change to be better. And her thought is, she lets the silence drift. She suspects he has no idea what be better means. It's an abstract goal. That was like, she clocked him. Like, that was awesome. Yeah, so that is me discussing the Book of Witching. I don't really want to go too much into the plot. I will just say overall, I found the plot to be extremely engaging. If you want a book that is a fast-paced thriller, this book's for you. If you like ominous, spooky vibes, this is for you. If you're looking for something that's written more flowery and romantically, I really wouldn't say this is for you. But it's a fun read. I had a really fun time. And it really got me out of a reading slump. And it was a perfect thing to set me in the mood of October. I think I'm going to start reading my first Stephen King after I read, like, that's going to be my next book. I have Pet Sematary that I haven't read. I've never read a Stephen King, but I do love horror. So I'm very excited to start that. So, that being said, my October book of the month, which was The Book of Witching by C.J. Cook, I decided to give it 4 stars because I thought it was really fun. I think a lot of the times, like, a book can just be fun. I think that on a writing level, I didn't love everything about it, but it was a good time, and the plot was engaging, our characters were likable, and it's fine. Sometimes I like to sit and think and be pretentious and annoying and read The Picture of Dorian Gray over and over again. But sometimes I want to read The Housemaid or something like that. So this came at a perfect time to get me out of a reading slump, and I'm very happy with it. So I am excited for November's book of the month. I will be reviewing that as well. Thank you very much. Bye.